Welcome to the Community Church of Chapel Hill, Unitarian Universalist. I am Larry Ross, a member of the Worship Associates Ministry here at the church, and I want to welcome each of you to our Sunday online service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you came to worship with us today, you are welcome here. And now please join us in singing the opening hymn, There Is More Love Somewhere. Here are the words for the chalice lighting. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Our call to worship this morning is a blessing by the Reverend Julia Hamilton, entitled, A Blessing for the One in the Scrubs. You, the one in the scrubs, the one breathing in a mask meant for a moment but kept all day, guarding gloves like gold. You, the one who peels off your clothes like onion skin at the end of your shift to keep your house safe from microscopic hitchhikers, to keep your home a sanctuary. You, the essential one, caretaker of our community, self-isolating, sanity-doubting, hand-scrubbing, angry and hungry, giddy and tired, helpful, hopeful, and scared, all in a whirl. This is a blessing meant for you. It's a hard-won blessing, an awkward offering of our very real hearts, a tumbling gratitude that bursts from our balconies, scribbled in signs of thanks, pressed against hospital windows. We are hoping you can hear us from our many separate rooms, calling down a blessing on your head, your hands into all of the alveoli in your lungs, where oxygen and pathogen might meet. We bless your stubborn faith of life, your willingness to walk toward trouble, your intolerance of unnecessary death, your impatience of our slow understanding. We bless your families who keep watch over your coming and goings and hold your humanity in safekeeping. We bless all of you, the whole of you, from the head surgeon to the brand new nurse, the night shift janitor, and the laid off clinic staff. May you be safe, may you be well, may you be healed and held as you heal and hold others. May you know that you are loved.
Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say once you're gone forever, and some say you're gonna come back. Some say you rest in the arms of the Savior if in sinful ways you lack. Some say they're coming back in a garden, lots of carrots and little sweet peas. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say they're going to a place called glory, and I'm not saying that ain't a fact. But I've heard I'm on the road to purgatory, and I don't like the sound of that. Well, I believe in love, and I live my life accordingly. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Yeah, I think I'll just let the mystery be. Whoa, and I choose to let the mystery be.
Each week, we hold a time in our service for the sharing of joys and sorrows. This week, we were sent several joys and sorrows to be shared with the congregation. Jody Savage asked that we place a stone for her mother, Leslie Savage, who is receiving hospice care in San Diego. Leslie trained for the Nurse Cadet Corps during World War II. Jody receives updates on her mother's health from the hospice staff, but is sad to be unable to visit. Marnie Goldschlag asked that we place a stone of both joy and sorrow for her son Lee, who is from Taiwan. Marnie writes, Lee has been unemployed since early March when he was laid off and now has just gotten a new job, which he'll start on Monday. That's my joy. My sorrow is that because he is Asian and because the president is stoking an anti-Asian sentiment, he has been getting harassed and has had a very hard time dealing with it. The next stone is for Jane and Scott Provan, who announced with great joy the birth of their 8th grandchild, granddaughter Riley Cabell Provan. Born to their son Benjamin and his wife Sara on Friday, June 26th at 10:40 a.m. in Oakland, weighing in at 7 pounds, 6 ounces. Both mom and baby are healthy, and the whole Provan Cabell families are grateful, thrilled to welcome her to the clan. Susan and Alan Spalt asked that we announce a pair of joys. They write, yesterday, June 27th, was the 50th anniversary of our wedding at Nag's Head in North Carolina. We are so lucky to have found each other and thrived together. Tomorrow, June 29th, we are coming home after almost 4 months sequestered with family in Seattle. It has been a joy and exhausting to have had the privilege of spending so much time with our grandchildren. The next stone is for the Building Project Task Force, who are delighted to share a special joy, which is that this week, the heavy machinery arrived at the church and broke ground on the building expansion project. We are thrilled for this important milestone in the project. A final stone is placed for all those joys and sorrows that were not shared but are held in our hearts.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going?
Life is a riddle and a mystery.
Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery.
Our minister is the Reverend Thom Belote. Today we have a guest speaker, Sara Gush. Sara will preach on curiosity and what it means to open ourselves to the answers to the questions we ask. Sara is a chaplain resident at Duke Hospital who recently completed her Master's of Divinity degree from Union Theological Seminary. Sara has been a part of the community church since she was a teen and is excited to return to the Triangle for the next step in her ministerial formation. An interesting fact, Sara loves to watch birds run on their two little legs. The reading today is by Rainer Maria Rilke, and he writes, "Have patience with everything unresolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers, which could not be given to you now, because you would not be able to live them. The point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then, someday, far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer."
Curiosity killed the cat is a phrase that is often used to discourage curiosity. Don't be too curious. It could get you into serious trouble. There is risk in curiosity, in questions. There is risk in opening doors and peering over the threshold and into the unknown. Yet, humans are naturally curious. Our human ancestors were scientists. They asked questions and learned by trial and error. If they had not, I doubt we would have ever left the caves we found shelter in. The spirit of curiosity is within each of us. But sometimes we don't follow our curiosity. We let it pass. I'm curious about cultivating curiosity. What keeps me from pursuing curiosity? What might I do to open myself up to curiosity? All of these questions have arisen out of the context of my work as a hospital chaplain at Duke, and I am, as Rainer Maria Rilke exhorts, living the questions. I started working at Duke Hospital as a chaplain right after Memorial Day. I had been accepted into a clinical pastoral education, CPE, residency earlier this year. The pandemic did not change our plans because hospital chaplains are essential personnel. Some of my cohort are headed into chaplaincy. Some are headed into parish ministry. We are all seeking to deepen our understanding, relationships, and ministry. This year, I am serving patients in the Medical Intensive Care Unit, the MICU. My cohort, 5 other residents, are serving in similar units, Peds ICU, Surgical ICU, Neuro, and so on. We each have learning goals. I want to become a better pastor, person, and peer by... Each week, 3 of us present spiritual care reports in which we focus on a particular encounter, reflect on our ministry and learning goals, and seek feedback from our peers. We write weekly reflections and share stories and experiences with one another. CPE residency is as much about our formation as it is about the care we give. It asks us to consider our own identities and the ways in which we show up with our full selves in care. It asks us to pay attention. Over the past 2 weeks or so in our CPE group, a a theme has come up around curiosity. More specifically, not pursuing curiosity. In one of those spiritual care reports, I shared that a patient's spouse told me they weren't sleeping more than a few hours each night because of the care needs in their family. This person had become the primary caregiver to their spouse with a long-term illness, was working full-time, and was parenting their children. I affirmed for this person that the burden upon them is heavy. They are religious, and they told me that they receive their strength from God above. Here's the thing, though. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't ask how this person was caring for themselves. I didn't ask what it meant to them to receive strength from God, or what God looked like. Of course, I was curious, but I didn't open that door. I let this person guide the conversation away towards more mundane and practical things. I am not saying that this was the wrong move or that I regret how the conversation continued. In fact, I think this person felt seen and heard and knew they had spent time with someone who cared. But what I learned in the course of our conversation about this encounter is that I didn't open that door. When asked why, I thought for a moment and realized that it was because I wasn't ready to go there. I wasn't prepared for whatever answer I would receive. I thought, if you ask a question, you must be willing to get an answer. One cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube, as it were. Once you open the door, you must be willing to greet what is there. As a cohort, we shared why we felt we weren't able to go there sometimes. We talked about what it is that prevents us from going deeper with people. Sometimes that might be because we're not paying attention and miss the opportunity, or because we're tired and hungry, or because that door feels too close to home. It's scary to be curious. After all, curiosity killed the cat. What if I ask this question and the answer hits me in my own wounds? What if the answer is something I disagree with? Fear of my own discomfort keeps my curiosity in check. I am a person who tries to balance my natural inclination to avoid discomfort by leaning into it when I can. I applied for a CPE residency because I wanted to continue to examine who I am as a minister and person, which is incredibly difficult and sometimes painful work. I chose my clinical assignment, this particular ICU, because I wanted to face some of my discomfort around death by being with it every day. How can I balance my curiosity and my desire for comfort? I think there are two primary ways to deepen one's ability to face discomfort and follow curiosity. One is to be in community, and the other is to practice listening. To be in community is to be accountable to someone else. Community gives us people to practice with, to share with, and to explore with. If it weren't for my CPE group, I wouldn't have been able to explore what holds me back from being curious. They are people I intentionally practice with. I listen, I reflect, I voice curiosity, I receive feedback. They are people I share my experiences with. I recount, I receive curiosity, I respond. It is in that context that I can explore. Not every community is this kind of community. This is a covenanted community of peers who are seeking to do this work. We encourage one another in our curiosity, promoting the search for truth and meaning. We are free to search in whatever ways we are called to. Our questions are not all the same. To do this responsibly, we are seekers in community. Practicing listening might sound like a strange task, But listening isn't just about the ability to hear sounds. Listening, deep listening, requires our full attention. Some experts say that 70% of a conversation is nonverbal. Some experts say 90%. Listening, then, is noticing another person's body. It's hearing tone, inflection, intonation. It's not thinking about how you're going to respond. It's asking open-ended questions. It's paying attention to your own body. Sometimes we call this kind of listening active, and it can truly be exhausting. It's much easier to only half listen, scrolling on my phone, watching TV, or otherwise distracted. The ways to practice this kind of listening can be pretty basic. In casual conversation, putting my phone down is usually the first step. Often, this helps me look at the person speaking. Eye contact may not be necessary for deep listening, but looking at the other person is. By looking at the speaker, I can notice and become curious about their posture or body movements. Are they fidgeting, crossing their arms, or stiff? I can then recognize if the speaker's body language doesn't match their words. If you tell me you're incredibly happy, but your arms and legs are crossed, I might hear a small voice that raises my curiosity and wonder if there's actually something bothering you. You are all likely familiar with other basics for good listening. But one thing we don't often hear about active or deep listening is that one must be paying attention to one's own body and feelings in order to listen well. If I'm asking someone to open up to me, but I appear closed off or distracted, they're less likely to do so. Moreover, I am a participant in this conversation, not a receptacle. If I can notice how I feel when a speaker shares something, I can become curious. Perhaps my curiosity is about myself. How did what they just said resonate with my story? Or perhaps it's about their story. How did they come to feel this way? Perhaps it is something else entirely. Regardless, this curiosity is something we can either let pass or pursue. It seems then that feeling connected to and mindful of one's own body is an element of pursuing curiosity. Meditation, mindfulness, and other centering practices all cultivate this. Community is another element. Listening, which is related to that interior connectedness, is a skill as well. The Rilke reading this morning suggests that patience is yet another element of curiosity. I would argue that courage is needed as well. It takes courage to face the unknown, to live our questions, to follow our curiosity where it leads. UUs are quite curious. We are seekers and questioners. We are holy agitators. One of my favorite things about this community is that we ask big questions. Questions like, do I believe in the divine? What does that mean to me? Where do we come from? Who are we? Where are we going? What are my values and how can I live them each day? Inside each of us is a spirit of curiosity that is sometimes lost in the noisiness of our lives. If we practice slowing down, listening, living questions and answers, we can live into the spirit of curiosity. This week, I've been asking, why me? What is so special about me that people would want me to journey with them through hospitalization and sometimes death? Each time I have an encounter that tugs at my insecurity, I try to sit with this question. It's hard to consider why I think I'm so inadequate. There are a lot of factors that go into it, frankly. One thing I'm working on is asking in response, why not me? A family asked me to write something for the funeral service of their loved one who I cared for briefly at the hospital. Clearly, they see something in me that I don't see, and I'm curious what that is. Perhaps if I sit with it long enough, I'll begin to live my way into the answer. My challenge to you is to lean into your curiosity, to practice sitting with questions, to be willing to learn. Be bold. Listen to the still, small voice inside you, the one that encourages you to ask even when it is difficult, the one that encourages you to remain even when the answer is not what you hoped for. That voice becomes louder when we practice sitting with ourselves in meditation or participating in community. By practicing listening and by being in community, we open ourselves to the spirit of curiosity. We might be willing to take risks, to live the questions, and accept the answers. May we all continue to live with a bold spirit of curiosity with ourselves and one another. Curiosity may have killed the cat, but it tells us a story about who we are. May it be so.
In the ever-shifting waters of the river of this life, I was swimming, seeking comfort. I was wrestling waves to find a boulder I could cling to, a stone to hold me fast, where I might let the fretful water of this river round me pass. And so I found an anchor, a blessed resting place, a trusty rock I called my Savior, for there I would be safe. From the river and its dangers I proclaim my rock divine, and I prayed to it, protect me, and the rock replied, God is a river, not just a stone. God is a wild and raging rapids and a slow meandering flow. God is a deep and narrow passage and a peaceful sandy shoal. God is a river swimmer, so let it go. Still I clung to my rock tightly with conviction in my arms, never looking at the stream to keep my mind from thoughts of harm. But the river kept on coming, kept on tugging at my legs, till at last my fingers faltered and I was swept away. So I'm going with the flow now, these relentless twists and bends, acclimating to the motion and the sense of being led. And this river's like my body now, it carries me along through the ever-changing scenes and by the rocks that sing this song. God is a river, not just a stone. God is a wild and raging rapids and a slow meandering flow. God is a deep and narrow passage and a peaceful sandy shoal. God is a river swimmer, so let it go. God is a river swimmer, so let it go.
One of the things about this church community for which I am grateful is the way that it has had an impact on several of our youth who have grown up through this church and, like Sara Gush, who spoke this morning, are pursuing religious leadership in Unitarian Universalism. This is a church that has the power of transformation. It is a church that may transform our lives. It can help our youth, and in fact all of us, to develop ethically, morally. It can help us to develop and practice and put to use new talents. It helps us to get involved in working to make a difference in the world. And when we are sad or joyful, this church forms a community around us that holds us. At this time, we are going to be accepting our morning's offering. If you wish to make a contribution to the church, you can do that using the giving portal below, and you can select either making a pledge payment or making a gift to this morning's offering. Your offering supports the ministries and programs of this church and all this church does to transform our lives and the wider world. Thank you very much.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Please join with me in the words by which we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now please join in singing Shalom.
Shalom, my friend, shalom.